Mariko Umeda, better known to fans as Plum Mariko, was a pioneering figure in Japanese women's professional wrestling. From her debut in 1986 with Japan Women's Pro Wrestling, and later with JWP Joshi Puroresu, she built a reputation as a skilled and fearless competitor. Throughout her career, Mariko endured numerous injuries in the ring, including multiple concussions. These injuries eventually led to a brain abscess, though she continued performing, dedicated to her craft. On August 15, 1997, Mariko teamed with Kaman Bolshoi against Mayumi Ozaki and Riko Amano at Hiroshima Sun Plaza. The match appeared routine, but at its conclusion, Ozaki executed her signature move, the Liger Bomb, to pin Mariko. While the move was performed as usual, it triggered a pre-existing medical issue. Mariko was knocked unconscious and failed to respond. After the match, her fellow wrestlers noticed she remained unresponsive, her tongue obstructing her airway. Despite immediate attention, Mariko died a few hours later on August 16, 1997. She was the first professional wrestler in Japan to die from injuries sustained during a match. Her father requested that no post-mortem be performed, but it was known that head trauma and her pre-existing brain abscess likely contributed to her untimely death. Brian Steven Hauser, better known in the wrestling world as Shane Shamrock, was a rising star in Maryland Championship Wrestling, remembered for his energy, charisma, and promise in the ring. His life was cut short at just 23 years old. On the night of August 18, 1998, officers responded to a 911 call from Hauser's girlfriend at their Glen Burnie, Maryland home. According to authorities, Hauser allegedly threatened her with a kitchen knife. When police arrived, they encountered a tense and chaotic scene. Hauser was reportedly blocking his girlfriend's movement while their 1-year-old son was nearby. The home showed signs of a struggle. The situation escalated quickly. Officers attempted to restrain Hauser, but he broke away and returned with a knife, brandishing it in a threatening manner. Officer Peter Scarpetta fired 3 shots, striking Hauser twice in the chest. He was airlifted to Maryland Shock Trauma Center, but was pronounced dead shortly after midnight. His girlfriend and son were unharmed. In the aftermath, Shane Shamrock was named the lifetime MCW Light Heavyweight Champion, with the promotion retiring the title a month later. Neighbors and family painted a picture of a troubled household. Reports indicated frequent arguments and a restraining order had been issued against Hauser in the past. While some viewed the shooting as a tragic necessity, it remains a sobering end to a young wrestler's life, cutting short both his career and his potential outside the ring. Masakazu Fukuda was a rising star in Japanese professional wrestling, known for his work in War and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Born on May 17, 1972, he had already endured serious injuries in the ring, but remained determined to compete at a high level. On April 14, 2000, during a Young Lion Cup tournament match against Katsuyori Shibata, Fukuda took a flying elbow drop. Though the move appeared routine, it triggered a severe head injury. He was rushed to the hospital, but despite medical efforts, he died 5 days later on April 19th from a brain hemorrhage. He was only 27 years old. Fukuda's death was made even more tragic by his recent history. In October of the previous year, he had suffered a cerebral hemorrhage that required brain surgery and forced him out of action for roughly 4 months. Upon returning to the ring, he reportedly collapsed in a match about 2 months before his fatal injury. Reports on the match with Shibata noted that Fukuda never landed directly on his head and absorbed only a few stiff elbows, moves considered normal for New Japan opening matches at the time. His death remains a stark reminder of the risks wrestlers face, even when performing moves that appear routine. Daniel Michael Quirk, better known to fans as Spider, was a talented and ambitious professional wrestler, making his mark across the Northeastern and Mid-Atlantic independent circuit. He competed for promotions including Assault Championship Wrestling, Chikara, the Millennium Wrestling Federation, the National Wrestling Alliance, World Wrestling Alliance, and World Extreme Wrestling. Tragically, Quirk's life was cut short on May 28, 2005, at an Ultimate Championship Wrestling event in Taunton, Massachusetts. Attempting a moonsault, he was not caught by his opponent and struck the floor headfirst. The match was immediately stopped as blood became visible. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but all efforts to revive him failed. Eyewitnesses noted that no protective mats had been placed outside the ring, a factor that may have contributed to the fatal outcome. Quirk was only 22 years old. In the wake of his death, his family and friends honored his memory by establishing the Daniel Michael Quirk Memorial Scholarship Fund, aimed at supporting graduating seniors from Shelton High School pursuing studies in graphic arts and communications, fields Quirk himself had studied at Northeastern University and the University of New Haven. Beyond wrestling, he had designed websites for various independent promotions and wrestlers, including serving as webmaster for the NAWF. Quirk's passing sent shockwaves through the independent wrestling community. It was the first recorded death on the independent circuit due to an in-ring accident, raising serious concerns about safety, regulation, and oversight in U.S. independent wrestling. Voices from the industry, including Al Snow and Percy Pringle, spoke out about the need for greater precautions to protect performers from such tragic accidents. Chiemi Kitagami, known in the ring as Mirai, was a promising young Japanese professional wrestler whose career spanned several promotions, including All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling and A to Z. She debuted in 2001 under her real name, but soon sought new opportunities, eventually joining A to Z in 2003 and becoming part of the Z Spirit stable. Her ring name, Mirai, meaning the future, reflected the promise many saw in her talent and potential. In January 2005, Kitagami was diagnosed with depression, which forced her to step away from wrestling for a time. She openly documented her struggles in an online diary, revealing both her battles with mental health and a previous suicide attempt earlier that year. Despite ongoing medication and her frustration with slow progress, she returned to the ring mid-2005 and remained active almost until her death. On September 14, 2005, at just 22 years old, Kitagami was found unconscious in the bathtub of her apartment. She was pronounced dead shortly afterward. Although she had a known history of mental health struggles, her death was officially ruled accidental. The news was shared publicly the following day by her friend and fellow wrestler Gami, leaving the wrestling community to mourn a young life and career ended far too soon. John Michael Meek, known to wrestling fans as Iron Mike Steele, was a Florida-born professional wrestler and frequent Pro Wrestling Weekly contributor. A student of legends Boris Malenko and Tora Kamada, Steele made a name for himself in the 1990s with high-profile matches against stars like Mark Marrow and Dean Malenko. His in-ring career, however, was cut short in 1994 by a serious motorcycle accident. In 2003, he broke up a fight between two men in a bar, telling them to leave each other alone. Later the same night, one of the men, Joshua Singletary, killed adversary Charles Chuck Rock by setting him on fire. On August 29, 2007, Steele himself became the victim of a senseless act of violence. After refusing to confront a belligerent, intoxicated man at a bar, Steele left on his Harley-Davidson motorcycle. The man, Harry Brian Taylor, pursued him in a work van and deliberately rammed Steele's motorcycle, killing him. Steele was 52 years old. Taylor, a two-time convicted killer with a violent history, including a previous second-degree murder conviction in 1988, was later sentenced to life without parole. Clemente Marcelino Valencia Najera, better known to wrestling fans as Dr. X, was a masked luchador who spent most of his career performing for CMLL, one of Mexico's premier wrestling promotions. Like many masked wrestlers, Valencia's real identity and private life were carefully guarded, leaving fans to know him almost entirely through his electrifying in-ring persona. On October 11, 2011, Valencia's life was cut short while he acted with courage outside the ring. At a religious gathering in Mexico City, he tried to intervene in a fight and was shot in the head. He was survived by his wife and two young children, leaving a family and a wrestling community to mourn the loss of a hero both in and out of the ring. Charles Williams, known in the ring as Rockin Rebel, was an American professional wrestler who made his mark on the U.S. independent circuit. Trained by the legendary tag team, the Rock and Roll Express, he debuted in December 1988 and became a fixture in promotions such as Eastern Championship Wrestling, Combat Zone Wrestling, and Atomic Championship Wrestling. In 1989, he even made brief appearances in the World Wrestling Federation, facing off against stars like the Honky Tonk Man and Brutus Beefcake. Williams' life outside the ring was troubled. In the 1990s, he was arrested after holding his wife hostage at gunpoint, an incident that also involved threats against his own life. On June 1st, 2018, Williams ended both his life and that of his wife at their home in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Their 10-year-old children discovered the scene the following morning, leaving a devastating mark on their family and community.